Explained in less than 10 minutes, what is a medium format camera? Hi and welcome to episode 54 of the Photography Explained podcast. I'm your host Rick, and in each episode I will explain one photographic thing in plain English in less than 10 minutes without the irrelevant details. What I tell you is based on my lifetime of photographic experience, not Google. Well, in this case it is Google actually, because I didn't know enough about this to give you a proper answer. So there we go. I do say there might be the odd things I had to look up, but mainly this is stuff that I know, if only. Let's get into this, enough of that nonsense. This episode was meant to be about medium and large format cameras, but I'm sticking to medium format cameras only. Large format cameras basically are even bigger and more specialised. I think doing medium formats pushing the boundaries of where I am at the moment. Okay, so like I say, I didn't know this one that well. I thought I did. Proves what I know, doesn't it? Here is my answery bit. A medium format camera is a camera with a sensor which is larger than a full frame camera. A medium format camera takes photos with higher image quality, resolution and detail. As well as having a larger sensor, the pixels are larger, meaning more light is captured, giving increased tonal information. Medium format cameras capture a wider dynamic range than full frame cameras. Blimey. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Okay, so why am I talking about medium format cameras? Well, I spent all this time saying that the camera does not matter, and I want to finish off this series of episodes with what for me are the ultimate cameras. There's nothing wrong with dreaming, is there? When I say the camera does not matter, the camera does matter. I need to qualify this and justify why I'm talking about medium format cameras. In fact, no, I shall do that at the end. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of what they are first before I justify my choice. So how big are medium format camera sensors? Well, this was the Google bit. I didn't know these bits off the top of my head, which won't be surprised to when you hear them. The Hasselblad 907X50C is 43.8 by 32.9 millimeters. The Fujifilm GFX 100 is 43.8 by 32.9 millimeters. Yes, they're the same. Now, go back to previous episodes where I talked about full frame cropped and micro four thirds cameras. A full frame camera sensor is 36 by 24 millimeters. A cropped sensor Canon camera 22.3 by 14.8 millimeters. A micro four thirds camera sensor 18 by 13.5 millimeters. If we just look at those again, medium format 43.8 by 32.9, full frame 36 by 24. Quite a big difference. In fact, and when you times one by the other, I know mathematical, easy for me to say, isn't it? Oh dear, how it's going so well. Medium format 43.8 by 32.9 equals 1,401.02 millimeters squared. Full frame 864 millimeters squared. Big difference. And I'm starting with the sensor because the sensor is the bit around which the rest of the camera is built, in my opinion. So that determines the lenses, the focal lengths, everything basically starts with that size of sensor. How much do these things cost? I did a quick Google. Hasselblad 907X50C, snappy name Hasselblad, about £6,000. Fujifilm GFX 100, snappier name, about £10,000. Ouch. Now that's a lot of money. And that's just the beginning. Think about it. Lenses will be more expensive because they're scaled up as well, because you got to serve the bigger sensor format. So the lenses are bigger, everything's costing more than for full frame and smaller. So do I need one? No, I do not. Do I want one? I really do now, having looked into it. My, do I want one of these things. Have I ever used one? No, never. The closest I have come to a Hasselblad camera is having my British Institute of Professional Photography portfolio review being done by my mentor, Bryn Griffiths, a Hasselblad master. That's the closest I've got. Check out Bryn Griffiths' photos from Chernobyl. They are pretty amazing. And they were taken, I do believe, with a Hasselblad camera, so you can see what you're getting. So what are the advantages of these cameras? Higher quality photos, higher pixel density, larger pixels. You get more detail because of the larger sensor and the larger pixels. There's more light being captured. You get a better dynamic range. That's the range of light from dark to light more than on a 35mm camera. Shallower depth of field, which is great for portraits. I have a bit of an issue with depth of field and sensor size. I just can't get my nut round it, but let's not worry about that. I could go on, but I won't. What is the point of this? Why have all this amazing stuff? Why have such a big camera, big sensor, massive resolution? One thing that's not on the notes is that the bigger the sensor, the bigger the file that is created when you take a photo. Quite significantly bigger. It'll be an interesting one. Hopefully I'll experience at some point. Hasselblad, send me a camera, please. What's the point of this? If you're doing big prints, big prints, we're talking posters, advertising hoardings, fine art prints, that kind of thing. Big prints, you will get more. Hang on, you won't get more. You get less. Oh, I've lost it there. If you enlarge a micro four thirds photo, you will start to lose the detail sooner because the sensor is smaller. And the bigger the sensors go, obviously there's other variables like the resolution, quality and all that other good stuff, but in general terms, the bigger the sensor, the bigger the prints you can get without losing any quality or detail. And that's what these medium format cameras give you, the ability to print larger. They also have their own look. Let me explain that. They have their own look. An image taken with a medium format camera has this distinctive look. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's like an immersive photo. You've got detail in detail, endless detail. It's almost detail you can get lost in. There's just something about them which is different. So why don't I'll come on to that. Cropping. If you take a photo with a larger sensor, if you need to, you can crop in more than you can with a smaller sensor because the image is bigger. It's just a basic fact, really. Why don't I use one? I can't afford one, not going to lie to you. And I'd love to have one, not going to lie to you. And for the work that I do, I don't need one because I get fantastic quality from my full-frame Canon 6D. Full-frame cameras are amazing. The lens quality on the L series lenses is amazing. So we mustn't forget that. Micro Four Thirds cameras give you amazing photos. Crop sensor cameras give you amazing photos. Full frame cameras give you amazing photos. You put quality lenses in front of them and you've got amazing. And it's it's more like levels of amazing than anything. So full frame Canon 6D gives me fantastic photos, fantastic quality, fantastic detail, fantastic tones, fantastic dynamic range, and everyone loves the images that I give them, which is why I work again and again for the same people. Nobody has ever said to me, what kind of camera do you use? Nobody has ever said to me, oh, don't use a medium format camera. Digression here, nobody has ever said to me, why don't you use a tilt shift lens? It's one for another time. It's just going up another level. I think it's like a stereo, a high-end stereo. You know, would you spend 10 grand on a pair of speakers? I wouldn't, because my hearing's so poor, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But if that was your thing, then you would. So it's just levels for me of amazingness, and there's this intangible detail thing that you get with medium format, which I'd love to talk about. I wish I hadn't done this now. I'm really regretting it, because the more I talk about it and the more I look into it, the more I want one. But let's not forget, I do not need one. I want one. Big difference. Right then, my one-line summary. Medium format cameras have larger sensors than full-frame cameras that capture more detail, tones, and a wider dynamic range. And I don't need one, but I want one. Okay, next episode. I was going to do large format cameras in this episode. Then I put it into the next episode. And then I thought, no, I'm going to do one about iPhones and cameras. And I thought, oh, that's very contentious. And I want to continue the series. So in order to get to the end point of what is a mirrorless camera, it's a strange term, isn't it? I need to go through what does DSLR mean. This is episode 55. What does DSLR mean? More baffling stuff explained in less than 10. Should say minutes on the note, shouldn't it? But it doesn't. Okay, so that's the next episode. Looking forward to that one, because that goes right back to the beginnings of me getting into photography. Don't worry, I'll be brief, about 12 3/4 minutes. Things you can do to help me. If you enjoy this episode, and you want to help me that is, please leave a nice review and rating wherever you get your podcast from. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and share my podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. Thanks for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast. A word on my websites. Check out rickmcavoyphotography.com, please, to find out more about me and my photography blog, and also the Photography Explained podcast website, where you can find out all about this podcast, what I'm going to answer, and you can ask a question of your own, and I'll give you a shout out. This episode was brought to you very much by the power of caffeine, it being early on a Monday morning. I've been Rick McEvoy. Thanks again very much for listening to me and for giving me 12 minutes 45 seconds of your valuable time again, and I'll see you on the next episode. Cheers from me, Rick.